Today, the Parthenon is still the focus of intense building activity. It can give us a crucial insight into the original methods of the ancient Greeks. Every morning, stonemasons, sculptors and architects arrive to work on the site. Their aim now is not construction, but restoration. Since 1986, they've repaired columns and started to rebuild the internal walls. Using modern machines along with ancient techniques, they're working to conserve the existing structure of the building and to restore its fabric. But it's a painstaking process. Professor Manolis Kores has been involved in the restoration work at the Parthenon for 15 years.
In the current restoration project, we're using, roughly speaking, same methods as the ancient builders, and also the tools we're using are basically the same as in ancient times, at least for finishing the surfaces.
But the story of the construction of the temple begins 16 kilometers away. Here in the mountains surrounding Athens, the most important raw material needed to build the Parthenon was found: marble. It was quarried east of Athens on Mount Pendele, and one of the original quarries still survives. It was the first time marble had been used on such a large scale and for the entire superstructure of a building. Jim Coulton is an expert in the building techniques and tools of the ancient Greeks and has studied the methods they used for quarrying marble.
The quarry is an unusually deep one, as the high face shows, because the area where high-grade blocks was available was quite restricted, and the amount that was needed for the Parthenon was very considerable.
The Athenian builders needed nearly 7,500 blocks, some over 4 meters long. Before the construction of the Parthenon could even begin, the ancient Greeks had to see if the nearby mountains were capable of supplying the amount of marble they would need. Once the research was finished, quarrying began. This limestone quarry south of Athens, dating from around 400 BC, gives us an important insight into the quarrying techniques of the ancient Greeks.
The bottom of the great quarry on Mount Pendele would probably have looked much like this if we were able to see what was beneath the piles of marble chips. You can see here very clearly the grooves which mark where specific blocks were cut off to the size that had been ordered, and over in the corner there you can see one block that's been separated out by channels ready to be removed.
The blocks were cut with their final position on the building in mind. There was a major advantage with this accuracy: weight. The smaller the blocks, the easier they were to transport from the quarry to the Acropolis. In the 21st century, transportation is less difficult, so size is no longer a problem. The use of modern machines has meant that quarrying has become much less precise. Here at the Dionyso quarry, also on the mountain of Pendele, the marble for the restoration of the Parthenon is being quarried. Once the larger blocks of marble are cut from the mountain, smaller sections are carved using power drills. Although for the ancient Greeks quarrying would have been a much more labor-intensive task, they would still recognize some of the tools and methods used today. This pointed pick hammer would have been used 2,500 years ago to cut the channel around the mass the quarryman needed to detach from the mountain. Wedges and iron splints would then have been hammered in with heavy mallets to split the block away from the parent rock. After the block had been prized apart from the mountain, it was the job of the most experienced quarrymen to cut away the larger, unnecessary pieces of marble. It was only when the marble had been carved into half-finished form and inspected for quality by the quarry foreman that it was ready to begin its perilous journey down the mountain to the Parthenon.